guys, it's Soda here and welcome back to another video. Thank you, Yuki. Today I'm doing a video that I've actually wanted to do for quite a while, and that is talking about my pet care mistakes. I've been kind of nervous to do it because I know people are gonna say things like, oh, you can't give pet advice if you make mistakes. Because people have told me that before. I don't really understand that. I have always said in a lot of my videos that there's nothing wrong with making mistakes. You know, it's totally normal to make mistakes and everyone does it in pet care. The important thing is learning from those mistakes and changing your care for the better. I've never said that I don't make mistakes. I've talked about my mistakes before, but today I'm talking about some ones that I haven't talked about, and more some ones from when I was a kid. I don't consider myself an expert in any means when it comes to pet care, but I have learned a lot and taught myself a lot when it comes to animal care. I'm just here to use my platform to help share what I've learned with other people. You know, I think that it's good to discuss, you know, mistakes you've made and how you've learned from that, and I hope also I can teach people from my mistakes not to do what I did. Again, there's nothing wrong with making mistakes, and you shouldn't feel like a bad person for making an honest mistake. Like I always say, the best thing you can do is learn from your mistakes and use them to better your care. So yeah, let's talk about my mistakes. So first I'm going to talk about my fish care mistakes. So my family had my first fish when I was pretty young. I don't know my exact age, but I'm going to guess around like 7-ish, because I don't remember it super well, but I do remember a few distinct things. And unfortunately I don't have pictures. I did try to find some, but I didn't have a camera or anything back then, or a phone. You know, back in my day, kids didn't have phones when they were 7. I did get my first phone when I was like 11 or something. It was an Alcatel One Touch. I don't think it even had a camera on it, honestly. It's pretty sick. And now every child has an iPhone, I guess. So yeah, I don't have photos, but I am going to kind of Photoshop something to kind of give you an idea of what it looked like, because I do remember it very vividly what it looked like. So fortunately it was not a bowl, thankfully. I think I wanted a bowl, but I don't think pet stores sold bowls. They still don't in my country, thankfully. But I don't think they did back then either. I don't really remember. But it was one of those hexagon tanks. It was quite small. I think, I'm gonna guess it was like around 25 to 30 liters. And these tanks aren't necessarily bad. Now, personally, I really don't like them because it's really hard to look through them, because there's so many corners, it really distorts your vision, and it's really hard to actually look at the fish through them. So I just think they're really annoying to look at. And usually they're too small, because a lot of the time they are pretty tall, but they're not wide enough for most fish. I see them all the time at restaurants, actually. I see them with really, really tall hexagon tanks, and they're always just so thin, but super long, and they've got like goldfish in it, and it's just like, ugh, why? But anyways, so it's one of those hexagon tanks, which, like, you know, not a bad start, right? You could probably put like a betta fish in there if it's like at least 25 liters. And no, we didn't do that though. It might have had a built-in filter. I don't honestly remember like what kind of filtration we had. And what we had in that fish tank was a goldfish. Specifically, I remember we had a black goldfish with the big eyes. I love those goldfish still. His name was Bulldog. He was adorable. I really want to get another one of those goldfish one day because I love them. So we kept a goldfish in that small tank, which was definitely way too small for even just one goldfish. But we also had some swordtail fish, which are tropical fish. So we had, this hurts to talk about, but yes, so we had cold water fish and tropical fish in the same tank without a heater. I don't know, man, like, keep in mind, I did not use the internet at this age, so I couldn't just like Google things. I know there's like children that watch my videos that are probably like 7 years old. I don't know why you're even on here, but there's not much I can do about that. But when I was a kid, I didn't have any of that kind of stuff, so I just was like, yeah, let's listen to the pet store. Which I would no longer recommend to do that. There are some pet stores that can be good. A lot of pet stores actually where I live are actually really good at pet care now, and they actually make sure you have a cycled tank and all that. But I know in most countries that's not the case, so don't rely on just pet stores for your information. Do a lot of your own research as well. Join some fish care groups or whatever animal. Are you okay? I tried to land on my shirt, but it was too slippery. Join some some fish groups, Facebook groups, whatever animal it is. You can learn a lot from those groups, surprisingly. Watch some YouTubers, honestly. You can learn a lot from YouTube and the internet now, but I didn't really have that when I was a kid because I didn't use the internet a whole lot until I was older. I know we had some snails, and I believe we also had some minnows, which are cold water fish, but that's a lot of fish for a small tank. Definitely way overstocked, especially because a goldfish and tropical fish and minnows, like, I don't know, man, like, yeah, but believe it or not, they actually lived a long time, and that definitely does not mean that they were thriving at all. I'm not saying that if your fish survive through that, it means that they're happy. They definitely probably weren't happy, and obviously I have a lot of guilt. Even though I was a kid, I still feel guilty for that kind of stuff. But they did live quite a while. I think what happened in the end is, like, the minnows had babies, the swordtails had babies, the babies all got eaten because that's what happens. I remember Bulldog passing away was, like, really sad. I think I cried a lot, and then we flushed him down the toilet for some reason. Don't flush your fish down the toilet, by the way. It is actually really bad for the environment because it can introduce, like, potential, like, parasites or diseases into the water systems, so please don't do that. But obviously, like, Nemo did it, so why can't I do it? Don't do it. Definitely not. There's bird poop on my arm. The way we would clean it too, well, my parents would clean it because I was, you know, a child. I remember they would, like, put all the fish in a bowl and then clean out the whole tank, because that's how everyone used to clean their fish tanks. You know, they just take out everything and deep clean everything, which you definitely don't need to do. Like, it just destroys your fish tank cycle and all of that. Not that we knew what that was back then. But yeah, I also remember, like, the tank was really close to a window, so it was green most of the time. I had a lot of just, like, really bad green algae just all the time. Like, you could barely see through it. It was just really bad because it was just like stuck there, like you couldn't get it off. And that's what can happen all the time if you have a tank too close to a window and it's getting, like, direct sunlight. It makes algae grow like crazy. Algae isn't necessarily, like, bad for your tank in any way. It's actually not a bad thing to have, but it just looks kind of bad, you know. Like, most people don't like the look of algae, which is fair. That was definitely not something I'm proud of. I was 7, so I guess I can't really blame myself, but still, you know, they eventually all passed away. We had them for a few years, but once they did pass away, I didn't have fish for a long time after that until, I think the next time I got fish was when I was like 14, 15-ish. I was asking my parents for a super long time to get fish again, and they finally let me get them. And I set up my tank, you know, I went to the pet store and they were like, "Is your tank cycled?" And I'm like, what? So I didn't buy any fish. I went back home and started doing a bunch of research on cycling a tank, and that's when I discovered what cycling a tank is, and then I discovered, like, pet YouTubers and all that stuff, and that's when I got super into fish keeping. I don't think I did a very good job at cycling my first ever fish tank, because I still didn't really understand it very well, but I still tried. So this was like a just a square, like, 5-gallon fish tank from Kmart. I think I do have pictures of that, which I can show you guys. I had rainbow gravel. I know, I'm like a different person, but yeah, that was like the gravel it came with, and I had a little filter in there. I don't think I did the best job cycling. I still didn't really understand it very well, but I still definitely tried. I was using the chlorinator and, like, bactericide and all that stuff. First fish I got for that was a little school of mountain minnows, which is a good option for a 5-gallon tank. Those fish do pretty well in small tanks. Those minnows are really cool. I had them for quite a few years. Honestly, I think minnows are a really underrated fish, and I think they're a good starter fish. I don't really like to say that, but they are a pretty hardy fish, and they can live happily in, like, minimum I would say would be 5 gallons for about 5 mountain minnows, because they are schooling fish. You do have to have them in groups, but it would be better to have a bigger tank still. Like, big is always better, and that way you can have a bigger school. But yeah, they're also cold water, so you don't have to have a heater. And yeah, they did well. They had babies, and then I eventually upgraded their tank, and then I got some corridors and stuff like that. And yeah, so it could have been worse, you know. But then my first actual animal I got that was, like, mine, was a present for me, was my budgie. I think it was for my 12th birthday, or maybe my 11th birthday. I don't remember exactly. But you guys actually might remember him, because I was actually making YouTube videos then. I think I started when I was 11, but I actually had Quinn for about 8 years, I think. So I did have quite a few videos of him on my channel. So I got him for my birthday, and I remember like they didn't actually get me the bird on the day. They got me like, they opened the present and it was like the cage and stuff, and then later on we got the bird. The cage that we started with, it hurts my soul. It was one of those really shitty small like travel cages, but thankfully we didn't end up using that cage. But that was the one we first got, and then when we actually picked up Quinn, we were like, this cage is way too small, and we got a bigger one. So thankfully we did not stick with that, because when we saw him in there, we were like, he's like the size of the cage, because he was a really big budgie. So yeah, the day we got him, we also got a new cage. It was definitely better than the first one, but I still wouldn't say it was a suitable size, and I wouldn't recommend that size to anyone, especially because he was a big budgie. I don't know what the exact measurements were, but I do have photos of the cage. I actually still have videos of the cage. So this one is I might just public this one actually, but this one from March 5th 2014, which March 5th was his birthday, so this is a happy birthday video for him. I don't know how old he was turning here, but you can see the cage in this video. It's so bad. I'm so ashamed. You can see the honey bell, and oh my god, he's got like barely any toys. I hate it. I really did love him though. I thought I was taking good care of him, you know, but I still didn't use the internet that much. I was uploading videos, but I was only allowed to use, like, because we had a family computer, like, in the kitchen. I was only allowed to use the computer for, like, 30 minutes a day. My parents were, like, they didn't really like technology back then. They're fine with it now, but when I was a kid, they weren't fans of it. Which is fine, you know. I'm kind of glad they didn't let me on it too much. So yeah, I did post videos sometimes, but I didn't use the internet a whole lot. I didn't really Google things. I didn't really YouTube a lot of things. I just mainly used it for like Animal Jam, Mushy Monsters, Club Penguin, Pet Pet Park, you know, all that good shit. I didn't really use it for much else. Oh, and PewDiePie. I did watch a lot of PewDiePie when I was a kid. That was a mistake. But yeah, I didn't know I could just like Google pet care, you know. I didn't know like the internet had all this information I could find, so I just took what pet stores told me and I did what they said, you know. And that's why I'm so glad that kids these days definitely have a lot more access to internet and can learn a lot more at a young age because of it. And I think like the internet is it can be a bad place, but it's also a great place for learning a lot. Like, I've learned so much through the internet. I've taught myself all these editing programs that I would never have known. But yeah, I didn't know I could just Google pet care. I didn't know that was a thing, and I wish I did know, because I could have learned so much and he could have had a much better cage. But I really tried. I thought I was doing what was right, but you know, there's dowel perches, which definitely don't recommend now. Natural perches are the way to go. There's like a big honey bell in there, which is just the worst. Oh, honey bells are so bad. Same with anything like honey sticks. They're just like full of sugar, which like you don't want your bird to have sugar at all. And it's just fatty seeds too. I can't see many toys in this video, but I know he definitely had toys. Maybe I added more later on. And yeah, so some of you guys, if you've been on my channel for like a super long time, you might remember him being in some of my videos. But yeah, definitely not something I'm proud of. But I'm just glad that I've learned from that now, and I can at least use those videos to teach you guys to not do what I did, you know. But I do still feel pretty bad about it. But you know, I had him for a long time. He was actually a really lovely budgie. I loved him so much. I have this bag of feathers from Quinn, so that's pretty cool, and a picture of him. So yeah, because he was a really special bird to me, and I just feel I still feel really bad about my care. And then as I got older, I started to watch like bird YouTubers and all that, and I started to realize how terrible my care was. So I started to change his care, but during that time was also the time that he got really sick, and he actually developed a big tumor like on his stomach, and then eventually he did sadly pass away, which is really unfortunate. And I do feel like if I knew better, he could have lived longer. But I do know that I had good intentions. I really did try. There's not much I can do about it now. Again, I can just use the stuff I did wrong to teach you guys not to do that. Yeah, so I'm just glad that I've learned a lot since then. My care has definitely improved, and I really hope this video could help you guys maybe feel less bad about your mistakes, or learn from my ones, or realize that it's okay to make mistakes. Yeah, it sucks realizing that you've done a mistake, but the important thing is that you learn from it and improve your care because of it. So I hope this video could help you guys. If you want to, feel free to like share your mistakes, obviously if you're comfortable doing that, and we can always discuss the things we've done wrong, you know? But thank you guys for watching this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!